We just wanted to welcome everyone today, and thank you all for coming. And we wanted to set these meetings up to meet with you guys at least monthly, at least here in the beginning, and walk through issues that you guys are seeing, and kind of share with you on things that we're seeing on our side, and kind of work through those, and working through a process that we can collect your guys' concerns or questions and address those as we have each one of these meetings. And we'll talk a little bit more as we kind of move through these slides. So let me move through the welcome piece. I'll kind of share the agenda for today, and then we're going to be doing our provider enrollment, talk through what's some of the things that we're experiencing there. We're going to talk through EDI, or electronic data exchange, and Diana Ruff will be doing that. Claims and billing will be covered by Emily Stahl, and then we're going to be doing provider questions, so provider questions that we've received, and then we'll talk a little bit more at the end about some of our continuous training support, and then just kind of some additional discussions from that point. So a couple things I want to talk about just along today is with the Google Meet functionality. So just kind of give you guys an update as how we're running these now. So we are using Google Meet. So this call right now is being recorded. That way you also have the ability to go back and listen to this, or have others within your office be able to listen to that. And we'll share with you after the meeting the location that this will be posted. So we'll send an email out to the group to give you the link to that recording. And so we've also turned off participant functionality just to make sure that we can get through the agenda topics, and everything can be presented completely. So we will work through, we've received questions, work through kind of the items that we've received there, and then if we need to, we can open up some additional discussion towards the end. So just a couple of things for these trainings moving forward, in just terms of housekeeping. So just concerns that we have that kind of come up through these discussions is just discussions around PHI, just with lots of different providers' offices on there. We won't be sharing any PHI. Also, too, is folks usually, that's one of the reasons we've turned off some of the comments there, is folks would put in the PHI information and make it available to all the other providers there in the area. So we've kind of gone around that process to eliminate sharing the PHI. We'll also use training examples where we're not doing or adding PHI to those. Like I said, there's the link for the recording that will be available after, and then we'll share that out in an email too. And then if anything, if we have any issues with any disruptions in the training, we may remove them from the meeting if we have any issues, or we're getting lots of feedback or things like that from some of those, in terms of like noise, or sometimes we get echoes. So, all right, well, let's start into provider enrollment.
My name is Justin Olson, and on the call also is Debbie Walker. We are the health program managers for provider enrollment. First thing that we want to cover is how to access the provider's information and how to change that. So in order to manage a provider's information and access the business process wizard, or the BPW, the profiles needed are EXT, Provider Account Administrator, and EXT, Provider Credentialing Specialist. These profiles will select the Manage Provider Information in the Provider dropdown at the top of the Prism home screen. Provided is an image of the provider dropdown with the Manage Provider selection boxed in red. So we will address some of the most common calls or questions first. Provided is an image of the most common calls provider enrollment receives, and I will cover these individually now. So the first one, in the BPW, the account administrator or the credentialing specialist for the provider will have to select each required step to confirm that all of the required fields marked with an asterisk have been completed. Provided is an image of the business process wizard, or BPW, steps with the required column box boxed in red. Another common one is to remember to answer all the questions in the enrollment modification checklist. Provided is an image of the enrollment modification checklist in the BPW. Another common call is that you need to upload all the required documents. The specialty selected in the specialty step will determine what documents are required. To determine what documents are required, you can click the Required Credentials button at the top of the screen. Provided is an image of the provider document list with the Required Credentials button boxed in red. Another common call is to remember to submit the application or modification for review. So once you click the Submit Modification Request for Review, the final submission screen will appear. If you agree that the submitted information is correct, you will click the Next button at the top of the screen. So provided is an image of the business process wizard with the Submit Modification Request for Review boxed in red. And then the other image is an image of the final submission with the Next button boxed in red. The next step of submitting the application is the provider enrollment terms and conditions. Once you have read and agreed to the terms and conditions, you will click the checkmark box and then click the Submit button at the top of the page. This will then bring you back to the Business Process Wizard steps with the Submitted for State Review notice at the top of the page. So provided is an image of the terms and conditions with the checkbox and the Submit button boxed in red, and also provided is an image of the Business Process Wizard with the Submitted for State Review in red. The remainder of our presentation will quickly review the locations, ownership, mode of claim submission, associate billing agent, and the 835 ERA enrollment form steps. Step-by-step instructions of these steps can be found on our website. We will first talk about locations. This step will be required for enrollment types FAO, group, or if the individual sole chooses the applicant type individual sole. Then you want to click on the blue primary practice location hyperlink. Provided is an image of the locations list with the primary practice location selection boxed in red. This will bring up the Add Provider Location screen. So all fields marked with an asterisk need to be completed if they haven't been completed previously. This includes the hour of operation fields. Please remember to click the Validate Address button if you have updated any of the required fields and the form is complete. Provided is an image of the Add Provider Location with the required asterisk selections boxed in red. PRISM requires a total of 4 addresses: location, correspondence, remittance advice, and pay to. You can click on the Add Address button located under the address list header to add additional addresses if needed. Provided is an image of the Add Provider Location screen with the Add Address button boxed in red. We will now cover Step 8, or Add Mode of Claim Submission EDI Exchange. So you choose Billing Agent, Clearinghouse, UHIN, if submitting claims through a billing agent, clearinghouse, or UHIN. You then select the available transactions given by the billing agent or clearinghouse by clicking on the transactions and then moving it with the arrows over to the associated transactions. More than one transaction can be moved over to the associated transactions. And please remember, in order to complete the EDI process, you must complete the electronic transaction type information in Step 9, which is the associate billing agent. So if you update any information in Step 8, you must also update Step 9. Provided is an image of the EDI Exchange transaction screen with the Add Remove buttons boxed in red. Continuing with the Add Mode of Claim Submission in EDI Exchange, you can also choose Direct Data Entry. Fee-for-service claims will be submitted directly into PRISM. The PRISM claim selection, or the paper claim selection does nothing. We are no longer accepting paper claims. And please remember, if you update any of this information on Step 8, you must update Step 9. Provided is an image of the direct data entry selection with the direct data entry button boxed in red. We will now move on to step 9, is the associate billing agent. So under the associate billing agent header, you can review the information of the billing agent ID, the billing agent name, the association start date, and the association end date. You can update the start date to the date of the contract with the billing agent, but do not change the association end date. If you update any of this information in step 9, you must update step 8. Provided is an image of the Managed Billing Agent Association section with the association end date field boxed in red. Continuing with the associate billing agent, you can click the Add button located under the EDI Transactions Authorization header. This will open the Associate Trading Partner ID page. From the drop-down Electronic Transaction Type, select a transaction type. And remember, if you update anything in step 9, you must update step 8. Provided is an image of the EDI Transaction Authorization section with the Add button boxed in red. Continuing with the associate billing agent, enter the trading partner ID number or submitter ID number provided by your billing agent or clearinghouse in the format of HT followed by 6 numbers, a dash, and then 3 more numbers. These HT numbers will be assigned to the transactions you selected in step 8. So again, if you update any of the information in step 9, you must also update step 8. Provided is an image of the EDI Transaction Authorization section with the completed EDI transaction types. And our last step we will discuss is the 835 ERA enrollment form. So the 835 ERA enrollment page shows basic provider information, provider identifiers, provider contact information, submission authorization, and remittance advice information. The remittance advice information is an important part of the provider enrollment process because this is where the provider chooses how to receive their 835 EDI remittance advice data. You have 2 options: electronic RAs. These will be sent to the clearinghouse TPN listed in the associate billing agent step, where you can select paper RAs, and these will be uploaded to the Prism My Inbox. Provided is an image of the electronic remittance advice information section with the method of retrieval drop-down shown. I will now hand my time over to Diana to talk about EDI, or electronic data interchange.
Hello, everyone. My name is Diana Roof. I'm the EDI manager for MedOps. Let's talk EDI. To start off, clearinghouse challenges. Many of you may have experienced missing files or rejected reports from your clearinghouses. Here are some of the most recent items that have been resolved by working with Dental Exchange, Tasia, Claim Remedy, also known as Waystar, and Apex. The PA qualifier, the patient loop, the subscriber segments, and the SV3 quantity segment, along with files that contain duplicate control numbers for either the ISA or the functional group numbers. All of these items were HIPAA compliance issues. We also have asked clearinghouses to consider changing from a single ST to a multi or multiple ST format. Basically, multiple ST allow the individual providers or individual claims to be marked for rejection rather than the entire file. I'm happy to report that most have changed to this format, but not all. If you are using another clearinghouse or practice management software and are struggling to help them understand the required changes, please reach out to my team for help. Our email address and our phone number will be listed at the end of this presentation. Now let's talk TPL. Utah Medicaid now requires the CI qualifier to be used for reporting TPL. This qualifier belongs in the 23 20 loop, and more specifically, the subscriber segment known as the SBR09. Please follow up with your software support to find out how to add this information to your individual practice management software if this has been an issue for your claims. Now let's talk remittance advices. Paper and electronic. We'll start with paper. In the past, the remittance were mailed to a provider's pay-to address. Due to heightened concerns regarding safety of the PHI and cost savings to the provider and to Utah Medicaid, a decision was made to stop mailing paper remittances in favor of a downloadable PDF format. In order to access these remittances, you or your staff will need individual logins. Once enrolled with a username, any one of the following profiles will allow access to the My Inbox area where paper RAs are stored. These profiles are Claims Submitter, Claims Inquiry, Claims Processor, and the EXT EDI Analyst. The next few slides step through directions of how to view a paper RA in detail and how to download the 835 electronic file if desired. Instead of reading through those slides, I thought it would be helpful to see the navigation in real time. After which we'll finish up with some final screenshots of the RA list for downloading the 835 electronic RA. Let's jump over to the Prism login screen now. As you can see, I'm now at the Prism login screen. You will have your domain name listed at the top. You will select your user profile. I usually use the EXT EDI Analyst when I'm checking to see how providers will view their information. If you selected it as a favorite, you can select it now to get to My Inbox. Click on Go. And then that should take us into Prism. In the upper left-hand corner, you'll see your menu header line. In the My Inbox, you'll click on the drop-down arrow with your left mouse click, and then you'll head down to where it says Archive Documents. You'll click on that one time, and that will bring you up to the filter by or search page for the documents area. You will leave the first item to all, as it's only claim documents. The second filter by, you'll want to change that to document name. You can also use the scan date. Know that the scan date is equal to the pay cycle date that you will see on the RA list when you're in the claims area of Prism. So we're going to go ahead and use the document name. And the easiest way is just literally to type out paper RA and then click on Go. And then it will search your documents for all of the paper RAs that you have attached to that domain. You'll click on the first hyperlink that's highlighted in blue. And then that will bring up if you're using Adobe, it will bring up a screen much like this. Some of this will depend on the browser version that you're using and what default document you have set up to open your PDFs. In order to download, you will look to the upper right-hand corner. If you're using Chrome, you will have a drop-down arrow, or what looks like a drop-down arrow in the upper right corner. If you're using Edge, like I am now, you will have a printer icon and then this little, I hate to date myself, but this, if you have a picture of a floppy in the corner, that is the save option. In order to download, you'll click on either, if you're in Chrome, the drop-down arrow, or possibly a picture of a file, save, and then it will bring up the screen where you want to save it. You'll leave it or rename it as needed, and then you'll just click on the save button. Again, depending on your browser, you may have other options other than the word save. I think Chrome has just an okay, not the word save. And then it will bring up a page and show you that it downloaded. And again, depending on what defaults you have set up in your computer, you may have an open file option, or you may have to physically navigate to find that PDF. We won't be able to go into the actual 830 or the paper remit due to PHI. If you have questions about the actual remit, again, reach out to my team and we can help you with that as well. I'm going to go ahead and close this screen. And now let's talk about the 835 download. The only time you would technically be using this would be when your normal procedures didn't work. Let's say you go out to your practice management and you notice your 835 isn't available for some reason. You can always log into Prism, and then with the domain name that you're looking for the remit, you'll go to your claims area and you'll have the RA list option. You'll click on RA list. And again, you'll have that filter by. And then I always recommend providers use their billing provider NPI. You'll click on that. And then you'll type in what NPI that you're looking for. I'm going to use our test NPI. Whoops. And then normally speaking, you would click on go. I don't have any files in here, so we won't be able to pull anything up. Plus, due to PHI, we're going to hop back over now to the slide presentation where I have an example. So on this slide, you'll notice that there is the filter by dropdown for billing provider NPI. And then below that, it looks like I was a little off center with where you put your NPI, but it should be in the first box is where your NPI would go. And once you click on the go button, you will get a list of your RAs. You'll look on the far left-hand column where it says RA number, and you'll click on that, on the RA number that you're looking to for the 835. Once you click on that link, it will take you to the next page and our next slide. And this, you can do a couple of different things. Obviously, you can look at the information that is on your remittance, or in the upper right-hand corner, if you need that download to read through your practice management software, you can click on that 835 link. It will once again offer you a save option, and then depending on the browser that you're using, you'll have to navigate to where you want it to save on your desktop, and then you'll just click on the OK or Save button. This will allow you to run your normal practice management operations. If for some reason you can't get it through your clearinghouse, it's always available there. One note that I would like to point out is the file that you're downloading is in X12 or it's text. In order to read it, you must either open it through your practice management software or through a X12 reader. Let's go on to the next slide, Emily. Or I'm sorry, Becca. And we're done with my portion of the training. I'm going to turn the time over to Emily.
Thanks, Diana. My name is Emily Stahl. I'm the customer service supervisor. And today we're going to be going over some common issues with adding your TPL or your primary insurance information. First, the next slide, we just want to remind you that attachments are not required for dental claims. We have seen in some cases where dental claims have been rejected or they don't get to us. Further information can be found in the dental provider manual on page 10, section 11. Okay, so in this section, we're going to be discussing how to add primary dental insurance to your claim. You're going to need to have one of the two profiles listed above, either the claims submitter or claims processor provider profile is required. To start the submission process, you're going to need to select the claims tab at the top of the page to begin, and then scroll to and select the Submit Dental tab. A new screen will appear. Provided is an image of the claims tab, and the submit dental option boxed in red. Excuse me. In the first section, you're going to begin filling out the provider information. After completing the provider section, you will then start the beneficiary information section. The beneficiary section is where the option to choose yes or no for the primary dental. Only select yes if they have primary dental insurance. Provided is an image of the provider information section with the billing provider information selection boxed in red. Also included is an image of the beneficiary information with the does the beneficiary have insurance other than Medicaid question boxed in red. Okay, if yes is selected, a drop-down section named Other Insurance Information is going to appear. In this area, you will need to fill out all the information that is provided to you from the primary EOB. The required fields are indicated with an asterisk. The external adjustment reason code and the adjustment reason group code are also required, but they are not indicated with an asterisk. Make sure to add the total amount the primary has paid on the claim. That is the total amount for the claim. Provided is an image of the other subscriber information with the required fields boxed in red. Okay. Once the primary insurance has been added at the header, you will then need to complete the rest of the claim information as well as the basic line information sections. Be sure to click on the Add Service Line item. Provided is an image of the Add Service Line item with the button boxed in red. Okay. After all claim information is added, scroll to the bottom of the page to add the line level primary insurance. Click on the insurance info text. This does not look like a hyperlink, but should be used as one. Typically, a hyperlink would be in blue, but this does not have the blue, and that's why some providers are getting a little bit confused. But if you do click on it, it will bring you to where you need to go. Provided is an image of the previously entered line item information with the insurance info boxed in red. Okay. A new page will open when you click on the insurance info. Here's where you add primary insurance at the line level. All fields in this section are required. Make sure the yes option is selected for the does the beneficiary have insurance other than Medicaid question. In the primary payer responsibility field, use the drop-down arrow to choose CI for commercial insurance. Use the drop-down arrows in the external adjustment reason code and the adjustment reason group code to select the correct code. That is found on the primary EOB. It's important that all line amounts equal the header level total amount that the primary has paid on the claim. Okay. Once information is filled out, click on the basic claim form to save. Then click close to return to the main screen. If there's more than one service line, you're going to need to repeat these steps. And this actually concludes the primary insurance adding on the claim. I know there's probably going to be a little, oh, I'm sorry. I have one more slide. I knew I was going to do that. We do know that we have had a lot of questions coming through customer service on root canals. These are some billing examples that we have had to help through the providers. We do know that the root canals do need to be billed first before the x-rays to be paid. The D0220 is now billable with the root canal codes. That has been made effective as of 9/29/23. If you do have claims that you've submitted before that time, you can actually go in and adjust your claim, and that code will pay with all three of those, the codes, the 3310, the 20, and the 30. So if you do have those, you can go in and adjust those and they will pay. We do know that the system is making you bill sequentially, so that is a problem. We do know that that is an issue with a lot of providers, but we are trying to just give you some examples of what you can do to get your claims paid. That's all I have for you today. I'm going to turn the time over to Shandy.
Okay, thanks, Emily. Good morning. I'm Shandy Adamson. I am the director over the Office of Medicaid Operations, and we house the Provider Enrollment Department, the EDI Department, and Customer Service. So all of these groups report up through me. If you do need to contact us or you have additional questions from today's meeting, hopefully it will help you to know which group is over which process and how to reach them quickly. Provider Enrollment is here. EDI Provider Enrollment is Justin and Debbie. EDI is Diana, and Customer Service was Emily. So I just wanted you to put a face to a name and kind of know what our office responsibilities are. And the next slide. Here's some helpful resources and links that we put together. We'd ask that you guys spend a little bit of time going over our website. There is so much information there. It's a lot of information, but it's extremely helpful information. And so if you familiarize yourself with what resources we have out there for providers, I think you will be pleasantly surprised that there are a lot of opportunities for additional training, and there are step-by-step guides that can walk you through this. Many of these things were talked about today, but there's also some more specific step-by-step instructions that you can utilize. Okay.
All right, Shannon, you want to start working through those?
Yeah, thank you. And if we could, let's just go through and try to answer what we've got, because I think the majority of you that have submitted questions to us all have very common denominator here with your concerns. It looks like explanation of benefits is a primary concern, TPL information, as well as some policy questions. So one of the first questions I have, and I think this relates to about 3 others that are on the sheet that we collected, has to do with understanding the explanation of benefits. And so in the older system, in Legacy, we call it, our explanation of benefits would include an internal message that reported back on the RA, and it may have been a more simpler understanding of the denial. With the PRISM system, we are following the same, it's the same standard ANSI codes for the CARCs and RARCs in these denials. The Legacy system just had an interface that would give you a internal message, but they all had to crosswalk back to standard ANSI codes. So the messages that you're seeing may be a little different than what you're used to, but they're still the exact same reasons for denial. You're just seeing them through the standard ANSI codes. I don't know if anyone else has any questions. Also, I know it's probably a little more difficult to understand, but there really isn't a way to report an internal message anymore. So these are the standard CARCs and RARCs, and I believe, Diana, was there a document or some type of resource that they can go to crosswalk what they're seeing? If the denial is like an N36 or something, there is a handout or some type of cheat sheet.
There's one on our website, as well as x12.org, that will give you the same. If you go to the status code list, I can either show you where it is, or maybe I can pop out the link.
Let's put the link in the chat, or in the training that we have. We'll update the training before we send it out.
Yep.
Are there any questions on that specific topic right now before I move to the next one? Okay. Another common question is going over in detail how to file a secondary dental insurance claim. We had about, it looks like 3 or 4 questions related to TPL. We did go over that in the slide today. There were screenshots and things to help you know what to do. I do want to point out that TPL does have to add up, all of the fields have to mathematically equal the total claim charge. In Legacy, it was a little bit different. We based the algorithms off patient responsibility, and if things didn't add up right, all of that rollover would go over to the patient responsibility field. That's not necessarily the case. So you've got to be able to choose the right insurance with the commercial insurance indicator. Need to make sure that your dollar amounts all add up to the total claim charge. And you shouldn't have any issues if you follow those steps that Emily went over, as well as using our resource guides that are listed on the slide just after this one. Any other questions related to TPL? Let's see. Looks like there's a question for policy on here also. D0150 is not set up correctly as far as frequencies. When will that be corrected? D1206 is also denying randomly. Is there a fix for that? Jim, I don't know if you can answer that, or you need to take that back to your policy folks, but I'm not sure what you mean is it's not set up correctly. Maybe we could get a little bit more information on that. And then the 1206 denying randomly, we may need some claim examples as well.
Shandy, I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head, but if you could forward that over to me, we can get that answered and get back.
Yeah, there is a point of contact on here of who submitted it, so we'll make sure that you've got that. There looks like there's a couple policy questions, Jim, so if you want to just address those offline with the contact people, then I think that would be fine.
Yep.
Let's see. Another one on how to submit secondary. There is some pre-authorization questions. Do you also want to take that offline?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Do we have an issue with
Yeah,
this?
so Dave's going to promote Jamie Miller so that we can.
Okay.
So if you raise your hand, we'll make sure we promote you guys to be able to talk. Can you talk now, Jamie? It looks like you're still on mute.
I can. Can you hear
There we
me?
go.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so in regards to the the 150, so when we bill it, that the frequency on that should be one per provider, because it's the initial exam, and ours are denying because they have had a D0150 within the year, but it was another provider. When I called the claims number, when I called last week, actually, somebody had told me that there's every frequency set up in there for D0150. So like there's like once a year, twice a year, just multiple different frequencies set up. So like a lot of them are denying for us.
Okay. Well, that's helpful to hear that explanation. Jim is over the Office of Policy, and he has a point of contact for the dental. So I know he's not in the office today. I would expect, Jim, that Kirk will probably reach out to them in the next day or two.
Yep. Yeah, Jamie, we can reach out to you. And Shandy, was Jamie's contact information on the question?
Let's see. It was submitted. Yes.
It is. Yes.
Mhm.
And I will give you some examples on the 1206 as well.
Yeah, that would be really helpful.
Yeah, and then we'll share to the response to that question out there on the website, and then we'll post to for you guys so you can see it. So you don't have to keep searching back to just kind of what these responses are.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay.
I think Joshua Martin raised his hand again. I think that's the one we need to promote, Dave, for that previous question. All right, Joshua, if you take yourself off the mute.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So I just have a question for you guys. We're trying to do secondary claims and it is not coming through. You guys are denying a lot of our claims, and I went through and everything that you guys showed on your end worked fine. I know how to do that, but you guys are still denying them even after everything is adding up. And I've watched your guys' videos and they're not really helpful. So I'm trying to figure out what is going on and why you guys are denying. And then sometimes we have EOBs that come through and they don't have denial reasons on there. So what are we supposed to do?
Okay. That's helpful too. We need your feedback, and we need your partnership in, trying to make this better as well. I would recommend, that probably have Emily reach out to you. We've got your contact information as well. Are you listed as the point of contact on that question?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, tell me.
I think I am. It's for Christy.
Okay, Christy Martinez.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I gotcha. And I'll make a little note here. I will have Emily reach out to you. If you would just coordinate some of those examples and EOBs that you're struggling with, and let's look at those a little bit more closely with her and her team. But you are getting them into the system. You are receiving a response from Medicaid, right? The clearinghouse is submitting them to us.
Yeah, and we've even went through and submitted them directly on your guys' portal as well. And like I said, I've watched your video, so I knew what I was doing. And so we've done it both ways, and it's still not working. And even on your guys' video, there's information on there that I felt like was kind of inaccurate. And so that wasn't really helpful either. So I would like Emily to call me to go over it with her.
That would be great. Yeah.
We may actually just have to like create a Google Meet and see what you're doing on the claim.
Okay.
That'll be a lot better for me to just know what you're doing. I don't know the answer if they're not providing the reason code on the EOB. I'm not sure what we do with that, but if we need to set up a Google Hangout, we can do that, and we'll just see what you're doing.
Okay, that sounds good. And when we go do that, can we go over how to submit it through the portal and not through our clearinghouse and not through the portal, and make sure that everything is being sent correctly through our clearinghouse? Because even when I go into adjust claims, if it kicks me out, I can't go back into it for a week after. So I need to make sure we're submitting them through our clearinghouse correctly and through your guys' portal correctly.
So if it has to do with your clearinghouse, I'm going to have to bring in Diana, because if it's an EDI issue on that side, it may be a Diana thing rather than, I can show you on Prism and we can do it on Prism and look, but when it comes to your side of clearinghouse, I can't help on that. But we can do whatever.
We'll just invite Diana to the meeting.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
We'll get you the support. We'll get you the support you need and the right people in that meeting, and
Sure.
go over that. I think it's just helpful when we can kind of see that what you are doing in Prism.
Right.
But you should be receiving a response back on the explanation of benefits. So if we need to look a little closer at that, why it's not reporting, it should be reporting the ANSI codes back to you. So
I think actually she's talking about the primary insurance, Shandy, right?
Yeah, it is the primary insurance, and sometimes the code the primary insurance gives, your guys' system doesn't even accept. So it's really tricky to make sure that things are balancing out on our end and on your end. Sometimes we don't get a code, and sometimes your system won't accept the code.
Okay. Rita, is that something you can join with them and that when Emily sets that up? Okay. All right. We'll get you some support, Christy, and Emily will coordinate that and reach out to you to find a time that you guys can meet this week, hopefully, and do that. Okay.
Okay. And then just for future reference, is there a way for you guys to not close a claim if we're trying to adjust it and void it out, to not close it for a whole week? Will that eventually change so that we can go in and adjust it in case we hit the wrong button sooner than a week?
I am not sure what that means. There could be, so there is a deadline to submit claims to be processed for that week's adjudication. So if you need to submit a claim and you want it paid in the same week, you've got to have those submitted in the system by Thursday at noon.
Yeah.
I think what she means is if you go in and adjust something,
Yep.
If they make any kind of error on it, what their error, you can't go back in a second time. It has to go through the adjudication process.
Okay. And then fix it the second week.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I believe that's a system design and a functionality that's something in Prism. We can definitely take that back, for further discussion, but it is the way that the system is designed to work.
Okay.
Okay, let me just see if there's any other questions that maybe we haven't answered in the same concept as the others. Let's see, there were some questions on prior authorization, and Jim will handle that. Looks like there's some other questions from South Valley Pediatric that are also policy related. Jim will make sure that you have those. Let's see. Oh, there is one. How do we submit corrected claims? And this one, there is, how do we submit corrected claims? And what if we submit them electronically and they are marked as duplicate? I don't know. Does that if statement mean you have some examples? Because if you do, it would be helpful to see. But I do have a write-up that I can send you that came from our December 2022 Medicaid Information Bulletin that will take providers through how to adjust a claim for voids or adjustments. And I can send you that information. And then if you do have any other questions or examples related to that or on the call right now, it would be helpful to hear a little bit more about what you mean by duplicate.
No, it looks like she'll need to accept
Hi,
it.
I'm here.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have some claims that they're denying. It says not billable separately. And it looks like it's like PAs and x-rays.
Policy or M, do you have any general oversight on that, or do we need
Yeah,
more
so-
specifics?
Yeah, this is going back to certain things not being billed with others. That is a policy issue. Kirk, when he gets back, will be able to tell you a little bit more than me what is allowed. We have seen quite a few denials on that. Yeah.
So Diane, I don't know that you were listed in the questions. Is there a way you could just put your contact information in the chat and Jim can have Kirk reach out to you?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay. Thank you. Looks like we've got about 5 minutes left. Do we have any other questions from this group, or should we work through just the closing comments? Any other thoughts? Okay.
Yeah, if you have questions, you can raise your hand. Let's see, there's Diana's info. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, Jason and Shandy, just really quick, just wanted to advertise that for any medical policy questions, we do have an email address that you guys are free to email. We'll certainly take back these ones that Shandy will forward us, but as additional questions come up, you can reach them at policy team at dmhfmedicalpolicy@utah.gov. And please feel free to message us as you guys have questions regarding policy.
Could you give that address one more time, Jim?
Yeah. D like dog, DMHF medical policy @utah.gov.
I put it in the chat
Oh,
as well.
thank you, Shandy.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, Shandy.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Well, we really appreciate you spending the time with us and working through these issues. We know that there are some challenges. There are some new ways that we have to interact with the system. And we want you to know that we're here. We're trying to work through these with you. And if you have any questions, so please use the contact information on there for those resources. And please utilize the customer service hotline. If you feel like you're not getting the answer that you need, ask to speak with a lead or a supervisor. Emily, again, is over that unit and can direct you whether or not it's a policy related question or if it's something that she can help with. But the more that we understand the challenges that you guys are facing, I think the better we can be at presenting training opportunities and creating, future correspondence that can help aid in those challenges. So it is a partnership, and we do appreciate you guys taking the time today to talk with us about these things.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say thanks to everyone for showing up and listening to the training. So we are planning on, as I stated before, we are planning on doing these more periodically. Trying to do probably some of these monthly at first, just to work through issues and bring items that we're seeing on our side. What are our most frequent calls that we're receiving or questions, and bringing some additional training to your offices, and then also trying to get any Q&A or any other questions you have for feedback to bring here. So we'll continue to go through this process and share the locations to share that information. And then we'll also, like I said before, we'll be sending out the links to where you'll be able to get the presentation for this, to get the follow-up on the questions that were submitted, and then also just other training opportunities as they come. So we just want to thank you all for your time, and thanks for working through this. We know that it's definitely been a struggle as we move to a new system and new processes, and there's lots of changes that are going on. So we appreciate everyone's patience and working through this. So, all right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.